Hey fellow animators, I'm Cherny. So in the last video we discussed what cat is, how to create a cat parent triangle and what settings it has. Now we will see how to continue after that and how to create your first cat rig. As I have mentioned in the previous video also, I want to explain every single UI button and setting cat offers. However, I am of course not all-knowing, so if you have anything to correct me on or add something, feel free to do so in the comments. Okay, so let's get to it. Here we already have a cat parent and pelvis from the previous video. We have explained all the parameters for cat parent, which is this triangle helper object here, with all the global settings. Now let's take a look at pelvis, which is our first actual cat bone. Let's start with these 6 buttons first. We have already talked about the add rigging one in the video before, and it's exactly the same here as well, so we can skip that one. The other ones, however, are a bit different. Each of them creates a different cat bone chain. Cat works in a very modular way, if we are talking about creating rigs. The pelvis we have selected at the moment is a hub. You can add several different bone chains to a hub, but let's begin with a leg. It creates a default leg, which can of course be edited and customized to almost any extent, but it's important to understand that this is now a leg bone chain. And when you select a bone from it, you can see it has more and different parameters than the hub has. You can for example set a different number of bones for this leg, edit it and so on, but we will get to what all of this stuff does in a different video. Let's return to the pelvis again. If we create another leg now, cat will intelligently realize that you probably want to create the same leg on the other side, so it takes your edited version you just did and mirrors it to the other side. Now let's try what add arm does. Not a surprise that it works pretty much the same. Only this bone chain is an arm, not a leg, in the eyes of cat. Even though the logic of arm and leg is very similar, they have some minor differences, but that's not the topic for this video. Next bone chain is a spine. This creates another hub for you. It is connected by the spine with the first hub. And now you are probably starting to see where the modularity of cat lies. With this other hub we can do all the same stuff again. Let's add some arms just for fun. And let's actually add another spine. Give it some legs here. And now with the last spine, let's create a head, which is actually just another hub, but it will be a head for this particular rig. Okay, so I believe you all pretty much got it now. Tail is just a simple chain of bones linked together, and can be modified of course. And the last thing is add bone, which adds a general cat bone to the bone you have selected and links it to it automatically. It sounds simple, well, because it is, but on the other hand, adding general bones to stuff is extremely useful and you shouldn't underestimate this. You can add these bones for any attachment you have in the model or any jiggle bones, or you can create anything that is not possible with these 4 bone chains we have shown already. In some of my previous videos you could see that I have used general cat bones for creating a cat facial rig, eyes, ears, attachments and stuff like that. So just don't forget that you have this option here, and even though it is simple, don't underestimate it. Okay, so that were the 6 buttons here and a quick basics of how you create a rig in cat. But let's take a look at what other parameters we have here. The name I have already covered in the previous video, so check that if you haven't. It's useful because naming in cat works a bit differently than for other general objects in 3ds Max. The color box here is another interesting thing. Same as with the name, you should change the colors of the cat bones here, and not up here. If you select the leg bone for example and change its color, you can see it changes for the whole bone chain. Same if you change the color for the hub, you can see the spine bone colors blend between each hub. If you change the color in the default way, it doesn't do that and only changes for that single bone you have selected. Now these 3 buttons here are pretty easy to explain. If you edit one bone chain, let's say we have edited this arm and this is how we need it. You can copy and paste it easily with these buttons, and it works for the whole bone chain. You can also paste it as mirrored when you need that option. which is the third button. The cool thing about this is that every cat bone has this option, even the general cat bones. Let's quickly create a simple chain of general cat bones. While doing this, we can also mention that these three parameters are obviously for changing the dimensions of the box shape of the bones. When you are done with the bone chain, you can just click copy, create another bone, and paste it as mirrored. The whole chain is automatically copied and created for you. Also very useful. Okay, and the last thing is this small checkbox here. That is actually harder to explain than it seems. Sometimes the box shape of the bone is not exactly what you want, or it doesn't represent the modeled mesh the way you would like. So you have an option to customize it, and that is by adding an edit poly modifier to it. This gives you an option to modify the box like any other editable poly in 3ds Max. Even completely replacing the bone with part of your model or any other object. By attaching it, and deleting the original box. When you are done with the editing, just collapse the modifier stack and all the cat parameters are back, with Use Custom Mesh automatically enabled. By turning it off, you can still go back to the original shape. But what is extremely important to understand and remember is that by doing this, you don't move the pivot point of the bone. It still stays in its original position, which is what you need. I have explained this in several of my videos already, but also recently on my Patreon in simple PDF tutorial, which all of my Patreons can download there. I am planning to release more of these simple quick PDF tutorials, so if you are not a Patreon yet, it's a great time to be one. Thank you and see you in another video. I am Miloš Černý and thank you for watching.